Brothers and sisters, cats and chicks, welcome to another edition of Slipped Through the Cracks. I'm your host, Dr. Mouth, and we're just having a great time exploring my vast record collection and showing you guys some of the rare records that I have, and records that at the time when they were originally released didn't make a big dent. They kind of slipped through the cracks. Some fascinating stuff here to discover, and also records. It's funny, with decades of hindsight, some of these records that did nothing when they first come out are now considered genuine classics of their genre, bona fide classics, really great records by people. Now, before we continue here today, I'm going to warn you because I might get a little angry during this one. The explicatives might fly, so if there's young children watching and your parents don't want them to hear any naughty words that they're going to hear on the schoolyard anyways, you might want to turn it off now, because I'm going to talk about Bob Seger. I detest the music of Bob Seger. I think his music is vacuous, empty. It's the worst kind of, it's supposed to be about rock and roll, but it's not rock and roll at all. He was huge when I was in high school, and I heard songs like Night Moves and Turn the Page and Old Time Rock and Roll, and I just heard these songs over and over and over again. Used to drive me crazy. You can ask any of my friends that still know me from high school. They've actually seen me take the arm of the turntable, the needle, and run it right across the Bob Seger record, because that's how much I thought of him. Songs like Against the Wind, just enough to make me sick. I would never say I hate anyone. I don't hate the man, I don't hate the man, but I did hate the music that he put out. I thought it was just terrible. And I've never really grown to and in fact, I think as his career goes on, it got worse and worse. Well, as I get older and older and I discover more and more about music and I learn more, I had to kind of bite the bullet, because through my research, I found out, Bob Seger was from Detroit, like many great rock and rollers of the late 60s, the MC5, the Stooges, Ted Nugent, Alice Cooper, Mitch Ryder. All these people were from Detroit, and amazing records. Well, guess what? Bob Seger started out there as well, and when he first started, he had a band called the Bob Seger System, and you know what? They're actually really good. This is the cover of the first album right here. It was called Ramblin' Gamblin' Man, which some of you Seger fans might know, because that is one of the few older tunes from his career that he would still perform even in the modern era. I believe it's on one of his live albums as well. But this was the first album by the Bob Seger System. It's fantastic garage rock, psychedelic, heavy, lots of crazy guitar. His voice doesn't really sound as annoying as it did later on. It's a really, really fantastic record. So I kind of had to bite the bullet, and it almost made me hate his later music even more, because I'm like, his early stuff is so fantastic. Honestly, this record kicks. But there's a song on here called 2 + 2 = ? that is just fantastic. It is like a total garage rock freak out, man. It's a really, really, really great stuff. And so it made me even angrier that this guy whose later stuff is so crap did all this great early stuff. But you see, this is where I get my revenge, ladies and gentlemen. This is where I get my revenge, because a lot of Bob Seger's early records, he's not very proud of them. He doesn't really like them at all. And in fact, there is one that you can't get in any form unless you can find an original vinyl copy. Sure, it's probably been bootlegged, but an official copy, you can't find it anywhere. Bob Seger has never allowed Capitol Records to put this record out. I don't think he probably ever will let them put it out. So, my revenge on Bob Seger, I'm going to promote the Bob Seger record that you don't like. And this is it right here. It's called Noah. That's Bob on the cover right there. And it is a pretty bizarre record. If you were to play this for the classic Bob Seger fan, the person that likes Night Moves, they'd probably like, what the hell is all this crap? Because this record is nothing like it. It's actually got one holdover track from the first album that's amazing. It's like garage rock heavy metal almost, called Death Row. It's also got the title track Noah, of course, which is known to some Seger fans. But Bob Seger hates this record. He's never allowed Capitol to release it in any form. This is the only way you can get it, is if you can find an old vinyl copy like this. And there's also a really neat story connected to this record as well. there was a guy, and I don't really know the story because Bob Seger's never said much about it, but there was a guy that became a member of the band called Tony Nem. And apparently the idea was for Tony Nem to kind of like freshen things up, I guess. I guess there was some sort of thing with record company. And there was also, apparently Bob Seger has said there was also some issues with him at the time. Depression, he was kind of not feeling at his best, not working at his best. So he wasn't feeling good. But look at this. Like, no wonder the guy doesn't want to put out this record. Look at the liner notes on the back here. It's so amazing. The first album was Trio. This album is more in many respects. It's more sound. It's more guts. It's more soul. And it's more conflict. Conflict between two very different types of music. Side 1 is Bob Seger, moody, dynamic human. Side 2 is influenced by Tony Nem, a new and important addition to the system. It is this influence that is creating change. Seger will always be Bob Seger. Any change must come from the system and Tony Nem. So think about that right there. Basically, on the back of your own record, they're basically saying, yeah, Bob, you're not doing so hot. Tony Nem's going to take over, and he's going to run the show now. Like, I have to identify with Bob on that. I mean, right on the back of the record. I wouldn't be very happy about that either. But the thing is, this is actually a fantastic record, as well as the first one, the Bob Seger System, Ramblin' Gamblin' Man. Great garage rock. Before, what basically seems to have happened to Bob Seger is he was always a rock and roller, but he just got more and more kind of cleaned up as the years went on and lost a lot of his edge. And, once you get into those satin jackets and baseball jackets in the 70s and that, like, forget it. It's done by that point. So, Bob Seger, this is my revenge on you, Bob Seger. That's right. Everybody, go out and check out this record. In fact, if you look in the little description box right below this video here, I've provided a link where you can listen to the entire Noah album and find out what Bob Seger was like when he really started, because he was drastically different. He actually had a lot of potential. This was the second album. This was the first album, second album. And after that, it starts to kind of get towards the Bob Seger that I hate and detest. But there you go. So, my revenge, Noah, Bob Seger, an excellent classic that slipped through the cracks and is probably going to remain in the cracks forever if Bob Seger has any say about this. It'll be interesting to say if when he finally does pass, if Capitol will put the record out. Or did he put a clause in saying, even after I'm gone, you can't put this record out? Well, there you go. He's not going to put it out. Dr. Mouse talking about it. Now you know about it, so you can check it out. And I'm going to wrap things up for today. I'm a little bit excited now. I think I need to go relax and have a cold beverage and calm myself down here. But don't forget to check me out on Instagram. It's Dr. Mouth. I'll have updates of when all the new videos show up here. And of course, subscribe, the little red button at the bottom there. It's one click, won't hurt, and then the videos will instantly come smashing through your door. All right, thanks everybody for watching. Once again, slipped through the cracks.